The days since then have passed so quickly that time seems to slip through my fingers like water. Every time I've tried to talk with Shizune, she has been out running errands or with Misha. I feel as if she's avoiding me, which is never good. And considering how far along in this we are, it would make sense for there to be some drama up in here. Mildly curious about all that. I'm not surprised. Of course, it bothers me, but I think the way she's acting seems pretty natural. Then again, it's not like I've been through this before. Not used to that version of Misha, hi. Whenever I can't find Shizune, I end up running into Misha, and when I do ask her to help me with my signing, however she always ends up squirming out of it. We're leaving after today, so I'm determined to not let her escape this time. Once we head back to school, we're probably going to have to start grinding through more student council affairs in preparation for school restarting. I want to brush up on my sign language as much as possible by then, even if it's a day's worth. It's pretty much just having a couple sign language-like conversations. You do that all the time. Actually, you're doing it right now. Really, Hee-chan? That's funny. Misha temporarily stops her unconscious signing in order to wave her hands in front of her face in denial, but then quickly resumes gesturing everything the both of us are saying to no one in particular. Hee-chan, you're so persistent, suddenly being interested in sign language again. Could it be that Hee-chan wants to make a career out of it? That's not fair, that was my idea first. You should be careful, Hee-chan. Times change too quickly. By the time I decided I wanted to be a sign language interpreter, they had cell phones that people could type out whole paragraphs on. Amazing! Not very good for me, though. As if she knows that author deferral isn't going to cut it this time. Another deferral. Misha changes her tune pretty quickly to move to a more apologetic one. I'm sorry, Hee-chan. I'm just so tired. Especially lately, even though being with Hee-chan is fun, she has way more energy than me. Teaching on top of that would be too tiring. I don't have that much stamina. Sorry. She doesn't seem very tired, shouting the statement with her usual cheer and vigor. I know it's wrong of me to keep pestering her like this, though. Actually, Hee-chan and I were planning on going shopping today. It's our last chance to pick up some souvenirs. Souvenirs, huh? I almost forgot that I was on vacation. I understand what you're saying. Teaching doesn't seem so easy. Hideki asked me to teach him how to sign, and I was unbelievably lost the whole time. Well, I wonder how it'll work out for you when you become a sign language teacher. You can't get too tired too easily doing that. Yeah, right. I hope not. Hee-chan, now I'm kind of worried, but souvenirs, so, some other time, Hee-chan. Do you want us to get you something to do? Just because I understand doesn't mean I don't want her to teach me. I suppose I can't press her any further now, though. Even I'm bothered by how selfish it would seem to do so I give up. No, don't give me anything. I'm serious, don't surprise me with a funny shirt or something, okay? I don't like the sound of that. Slipping on her shoes, she yells goodbye to the otherwise empty house and opens the door to leave, letting a cool breath of fresh air into the hallway. A tuft of dark hair peeking from the doorframe tells me Shizune is waiting for her outside. Good morning. Misha translates for me from beyond the doorway, and Shizune turns around to give me a small wave. Even though it's different from her usual offhand greeting in the smallest ways, there's an unmistakable hesitation there. It leaves me with a vaguely empty and distant feeling. Hee-chan, you're up early. Am I interrupting a conversation? I was just trying to get Misha to teach me how to talk to you, but I guess I was being impatient and it can wait. You two are planning on going shopping today anyway. Having Misha there, I forgot to sign my words as I say them. Unfortunately, since Shizune moved to fill the doorway, Misha is behind her. This brief misalignment in our positions means that what I'm saying is totally lost on her. I don't understand you at all. There are things I want to say that I can't put in a way she would understand, and there are entire conversations that she could have that would go right over my head. I want to tell her now that it won't be that way for much longer. Instead, I just say, never mind, and tell them to have a good time, then wave them off. Seems like everyone is out for the day, so I sit on the biggest and most comfortable-looking chair in the living room with a book. Not a sign language book, but one of the novels I checked at the library my first week. Does not read as much in this timeline. That was so long ago. I should really start chipping at that pile of books I borrowed, or at least return them. Oh dear God, no and why. 16 pages in, Jigoro walks into the room, a stack of papers in one hand and his sword twirling idly like a baton in the other, casually shaking water from a recent shower from his hair. Don't like where this is going. Upon being seen doing something so ungentlemanly, he freezes like a deer in the headlights and slowly moves on to smoldering with powerful but baseless fury as he sits down on the couch a few feet away. This is only the third time I've met him, and I'm already starting to feel nauseous on reaction. I guess in a way, this could be considered a kind of charisma. I haven't even said anything, and he already seems less than pleased. It's likely a bad idea to provoke him, and just talking to him may count as provoking him. However, I can't help thinking of the alternative situations that could play out. Let's say I don't open my mouth at all and walk away. Maybe to go read in my room or outside. That would definitely go down as an unforgivable insult. He would probably tell me to hold it and destroy me. Either way, not too polite on my part. What are you reading? The draft for my autobiography. It's the story of a man who wakes up to find an uninvited guest in his living room, sitting in his chair and reading shallow literacy trick. Delightful. I've barely started reading the book. I don't even have an opinion on it yet. I can already see how this conversation is going to play out, so I might as well try to steer it in a different direction. Where's Hideki? You even ask questions rudely. Disgraceful! That aside, why would you even ask me such a stupid question? How would I know? Am I my son's keeper? Well, you are his dad, and it seems like he does live here, so... But I guess I can't say that, tempting as it is. I give up. I already tried to make small talk with him and failed. It's like talking to a brick wall that also hates you. That's my cue to leave and sift through my wallet to see if I have enough money to go to a movie. As I'm about to stand, I have a second thoughts. I'm too tired to go through trying to smooth over my problematic situations by trying to continuously walk away from them. It's hypocritical of me to get upset at Misha for trying to defer things when even I run for my own girlfriend. When Jigoro attempts to stop me, I'm almost glad, even though I no longer have any intention to leave. Wait. He says it with plenty of authority, but nothing else. As if it's just a particularly commanding afterthought. Only a very powerful or very arrogant person can tell someone to hold on in such a manner. I'm sort of impressed. You're on the student council with Shizune, aren't you? What's your job there? I don't think there are specific roles other than president. Shizune is always trying to round up people to help out here and there. Usually we might get like one person to pitch in, but otherwise the three of us do whatever needs to be done. It's crossed my mind a couple times around when I first met her that Shizune's disquietingly analytical stare might be because of her deafness, but it turns out it's a trait shared by everyone else in her family. And that's okay with you? Why wouldn't it be? You, Shizune, and that pink-haired girl? Is that really your entire student council? With a student council that small, they wouldn't even bother to hold elections. I'm gonna take a guess and say that you didn't join the student council. Shizune drafted you into it. You said you don't know exactly what your title is. Makes sense, I suppose, if you weren't even elected. You couldn't be expected to know, after all. If you are elected, you aren't really anything. No one is going to respect a student council like that. An unelected body of 3 people trying to scrounge up the equivalent of temp workers? Must be a sorry school if 3 kids having tea party can handle every issue. What's how small it is have to do with anything? If the student council gets things done, isn't that enough? It's not just a game either. Maybe you should actually come to the school one day. If you get there on the right days, you might be able to see what Shizune is able to accomplish. Do you think that I have so much free time that I can afford to waltz over to your boondocks and watch my daughter's feats of self-aggrandizement? I have never been more disgusted in my life than you've lived a very pampered and sheltered life free of conflict or strife. Really starting to dislike this guy. What you're saying is that you might as well not have a student council, but the fact remains there is one, and Shizune got elected to it, and for her, it isn't a meaningless position. In fact, she works very hard for it. You sound like someone who voted for her. No, I wasn't there for that. You didn't even vote for her! Well, besides that, why don't you ask Hideki about this? Shizune has wanted to be a high school student council president since middle school. She would have read all her practice speeches wasting his time. For what reason? This whole time, he hasn't even looked up from thumbing through his manuscript. It's getting increasingly frustrating. Because it isn't a game. We don't run the school, but it's not like we're just playing at it and not taking it seriously. I wonder if it's so wrong to not be a purist. I have been to your school, really. The students there. I can already think of about 1 million things he might say, and I'm preparing for my heart to sink on hearing any of them. It's funny, they're probably things I've thought before. I don't even have cleaning duty. Well, that's not what I expected at all. He's also wrong? They do. I should know. I get to skip out on it since I'm in the student council. The concept of being wrong confuses Jigoro. I should take this opportunity to go on the attack. It's really odd that I'm thinking this way about a simple conversation. Sounds like the last time you were there was really some time ago. If you could leisurely write some memoirs, you could talk to Shizune now and then. Don't you think she has stuff she's proud of? That's how young people are. We have things to be proud of. If you're writing an autobiography, you should get that. Such an opportunity, and I blew it. I don't know how I was expecting him to react, maybe introspectively, but Jigoro only grows angrier by the second. Yet as he does, he also seems calmer, in a way, more sure of himself and in control. Who do you think you are to assume that my life is so easy? You haven't even read my biography yet, and you're able to tell how I should be handling all my affairs, including dealing with my own daughter. You could never understand. Even if I were to get up from this couch, walk over to you right now, and punch you in the forehead with brass knuckles with a condensed edition of my life story on them, leaving my biography imprinted in your face, you would not understand. That would be either your autobiography is incredibly short, brief, and pointless, or you have some big-ass brass knuckles, like far too impractical to actually be used. For 12 years, Shizune did not even talk to me, even though I hired multiple tutors and interpreters of all sorts for her to try and get her to become normal. What? Does Shizune's dad think that she's not deaf, she's just rude? What the hell? It isn't as simple as you think it is. If she doesn't want to bother with me, then fine. I assume that is normal. When was the last time you talked to your parents? I find it weird that Hisao's not... Oh, okay, I guess that's me, but that sure doesn't feel right. It has been a while, and I feel ashamed. More so that he caught me than at how easily I could have dropped my parents a phone call or sent them an email or even a letter and haven't. This knowledge only makes me feel more ashamed. Yeah, I thought so. If I wanted to see my parents, I couldn't. This is different. You aren't that far from her. It's one train ride away. That's enough. No means no. You're very persistent. If only it was about something that mattered. I can't see what you may have learned from my daughter aside from that and how to backtalk people. Is that it? The answer is yes. I wasn't this persistent or argumentative before meeting Shizune and Misha. After all, prior to meeting them, I just experienced a small death. It's a mystery as to why I refused to join the student council in the first place. Possibly it was from trying to get away from their nagging so much that I was able to get my energy back. It's a cute idea. I think again about why I'm still here. Arguing with Jigoro is pointless, yet I think I almost looked forward to it. And he's right. I can't understand him. Even if I did, he wouldn't care. I'm a louse that crawls on a whale, wholly insignificant. He has a confidence that I don't have. Shizune does, and it could be that the reason why I'm here now. An almost shouting match with her father is because some of that bravery is rubbed off onto me. However, I don't have anything to keep it going. Still, I hate him. Alright, well, at least he was able to say it. I don't know what I can do. A few months ago, I think I would have punched him and let the consequences play out as they may, but now I can't risk it. If he were to hit me back, he'd likely kill me. So in the end, the only thing I can do is look at Jigoro in silence, knowing that I have no reply, and hate him, and feel completely at a loss. Oddly, he takes it as defiance. Fine then, have fun with that. Picking up his sword and using it to pull himself to his feet, he turns and casually saunters out of the room. I want to throw my book after him, but I'm happy to finally be alone, even if I'm not in the mood to read any longer. Man, this story has been something, let me tell you. Huh, alright, well, let us continue. Our return trip to the school keeps getting delayed in one way or another. Shizune and Misha come back so late that there's no use even leaving, and we end up staying another day. The morning after, we miss the train by a single minute, and then the next two don't arrive. We missed the fourth train because I wandered off to get a drink. In the meantime, Shizune wasn't very happy about that. Oof. By the time I finally get back to my room, I feel so tired, even though I spent most of the ride back sleeping. I can't say it's only because of today. This seems like a familiar symptom of traveling. It's not the first time it's happened. And then naps were had. If no one has beaten me to it, I could do a thesis on it. Maybe get it in a medical journal. Returning from a trip syndrome. Not very creative. I fall asleep before I can think of a better name. Ah! Why the slam jam? A loud knock on my door wakes me up only a few hours into my nap. I'm annoyed because I'd just been in the middle of a dream that I can't remember, having been woken up in the middle of it, but I'm sure it was a good one. I briefly wonder who it could be, but it's not like I get many visitors, so I'm sure it's Kenji. I hope he's just rolling out the welcome wagon and not going to hit me up for money again. If that was the case, I'd almost be touched. Instead, I nap. Not touched enough to fight off the urge to roll over and go back to sleep, though. Biggest of oof. A few hours after that, I wake up again and immediately spot an envelope on the floor. Ah, that's the part. It must be something that came in the mail while I was away. That's Shizune and Misha's department. So I wonder if they dropped by to give it to me, or maybe someone filled in for them in their absence and told Kenji to pass it along. It's been a while since we've had to read this letter. I wonder how he's going to react to it this time. When I pick it up, any remnants of sleepiness in me instantly vanish. Even if the name of the sender wasn't on it, I would have known who it was from by looking at the envelope itself. realizing why it looked so familiar, by recognizing the delicate handwriting addressing it. It's from Iwanako. At first I can't believe it, but it wouldn't be too hard for her to track me down if she wanted to. Of course, I hadn't thought that she would want to. She was maybe my girlfriend for all of 5 seconds. After that, we barely spoke to each other. It'd be too easy to put this letter away somewhere and forget about it. A part of me wants to do that, or throw it away unread. Why I want to do these things, I don't know. It'd be easy to do them, easier than to read it. Slitting the envelope open with the tip of a pen, I'm surprised by the length of the letter that spills out. Ahem. Third time, let's go. Dear Hisao, how are you? I hope you're well and happy at your new school. Everyone here misses you. Almost all of our second-year class got put together in 3-1 for the final year, so we're pretty comfortable for the beginning of the year. And I'm sure you would have been assigned to this class as well. The mood among the third year seems to be very anxious about the final exams, even though they are so far away. The teachers are badgering us about it all the time. Even old Mr. Takabana, who is, by the way, our homeroom teacher this year. Would you believe it? I was sure that he'd retire after our second year, but here he is, nagging everyone about studying for exams. I think things like this are the main reason why the mood among the third years is so nervous. I must admit that I'm somehow losing confidence in myself as well, even though I've always fared reasonably well in exams. The small talk makes me feel nostalgic. It's almost like I'm in the hospital again. Every now and then, Iwanako would drop by and give me the gist of what was going on in class that, even then, I had an inkling that I would never return to. It's so weird to think we're already seniors, isn't it? Time has really flown past. I wonder where it went. The new first years seem so young and somehow really innocent. I keep wondering if I was like them in my first year. I've been feeling nostalgic like this for the whole first trimester. There are other things I want to say. I'm writing to you because I felt that there are things I should have said after the incident back in winter. I really regret that I wasn't able to say them in person, and I have no excuse for it. Is this how going to continue, or... Oh. The truth is, the times when I visited you at the hospital made me worried about you. I'm not talking about your health. You seem to become more distant and disheartened. It was natural after something like that happened, I'm sure, but somehow I got the feeling that you'd given up on something back then. Happiness, maybe? I wanted to somehow express my feelings, but the right words didn't come to me. I couldn't say anything to comfort you. I'm really sorry for not being able to support you when it mattered the most, even though I like you so much. At least now I can finally be more honest. What a convenient time for her to rediscover her sincerity. Well, even as I think that, I know she's right. Distant and disheartened is a good way to describe it, and maybe I had given up too. It weighs on my heart when I think back to when I was lying in the hospital, feeling so bitter when she finally stopped showing up. I wasn't surprised, and I had no right to be. How could she not stop coming when it was the only exception I had? How could she not stop coming when it was the only expectation I had of her? She dropped by for all of 6 weeks after the incident. If I drifted away from her, it was because I could feel her already moving herself away from me the moment she showed up. If I could go back to those quiet days in February and March, I'd tell you not to give up on yourself. That's what I would say. Maybe you wouldn't have drifted so far if I had just said something. I hope you've managed to get back on your feet on your own. Now that the distance between us is also physical, it also feels more final, somehow. I wonder if we'll meet again. Perhaps it's for the best if we don't. Still, if you'd like to correspond with me, by all means write me back. I'd very much like to hear about your new school and how you are doing. I wish you all the best. Sincerely, Iwanako. It's a strange feeling. I know that I'm never going to hear from her again. If she really wanted to keep in touch, she wouldn't have picked a medium like snail mail to do it through. If she could get my address, then my email or phone number wouldn't have been much work. Had she wanted them. This is only a goodbye. I exhale, only just now becoming aware that I had been reading with bated breath. Now I was being distant to Wanako. But maybe it really is for the best. For her to pick up a pen and write this letter to me, it can only be because she felt guilty about how things ended. That she was hurt by how we floated out of each other's lives makes me feel a sort of wistful happiness. I almost want to thank her, and I only don't because I know she wouldn't want me to reply. And then the knocks happen again. There's a knock at my door, then it opens about a millisecond later. I forgot to lock it, stupidly. Sup, man? Why's your door open? Oh, God, I do not need this today. I run to the door faster than is probably medically safe for me to do so I can prevent Kenji from seeing the mountain of pills just a couple feet away from him, blocked from his sight only by the door. Then there's this letter I'm holding. If he asks about it, I don't think I can make up anything convincing. About 2 feet away from him, I realized that his vision is so bad that it was probably never an issue. He didn't even see me about to practically tackle him back through the door frame. Hey, what the hell, man? What are you talking about? Your room has a billion locks on it. You just barged through other people's doors? You didn't even wait a second after knocking before you tried to open the door. It was like simultaneous. You were already opening the door while you were knocking on it. See, that's exactly why I have all those locks. It's a cold and uncaring world out there. A gatecrasher's world. Now you understand. I just taught you a valuable lesson, dude. Knowledge is power. Why are you yelling at me? I'm a hero. Look at you. You didn't even lock your door. The average woman could have killed you a billion times already, then replaced you with a female clone indistinguishable from the original. It almost happened to me. I'm almost positive a female clone would not be indistinguishable. Ignoring the latter part, since it's too confusing, it's funny he would say that. He wasn't able to stop me from tackling him head on, yet apparently a woman could have killed me a billion times. If this man is a hero, we are all doomed. What's that you got there? Somehow he's able to see the letter still in my hand with how I've been waving it around. That's not really much of a surprise. I fold it back up quickly, but take care not to whip it back behind my back or anything. That would be too suspicious. Seems like I'm jumpier than I thought about Wanako writing to me. I got a letter. Oh yeah, I put that there. I was sleeping, then I woke up because I heard explosions. I put on my helmet and then peeked outside to see what was going on, but it was just that student council woman banging on your door. It was the one without pink hair. Oh. She was knocking so loudly that it was obvious that she was filled with murderous rage. Rage at you. Then she somehow sensed me behind her, and I tried to escape, but it was too late. She caught me and started pointing at the door. I opened my mouth to tell him that she's deaf, but decided not to, for various reasons. I didn't really get it, and she got more and more pissed off, like an old man trying to use a touchscreen phone. She was gonna kill me and replace me with a woman version of me, but then the sunlight reflected off my glasses and blinded her, saving my life. It was like, behold, optic blast. Interesting X-Men reference. I don't get how someone with glasses can be hurt by glasses. She uses them too. Should be immune to their death rays, but whatever. She gave me this envelope with your name on it and just left. Clearly, she was out for blood, so I lied and said you were away. I think you were away, right? I've been trying to ask you if you wanted to help me with my homework for a week, but kept getting no answer. Welcome back, man. Thanks. Yeah, so she gave me this envelope and it had your name on it. I didn't want to hold on to it because what if it was a bomb? So I just shoved it under your door when she was gone. I was gonna tell you before you got back, before I could. At least it's not a bomb. Gee, thanks. I'm not gonna help you out with your homework because what if your math textbook was a bomb? He looks devastated, and also like he's considering the possibility that it really could be a bomb. I guess it is possible, since no one really uses their math book all that much. I throw the letter on the dresser behind me and turn to leave, swinging the door shut behind me as I do. It collides against the tip of Kenji's shoe and bounces back open, while he hops around for a bit, acting like it hurt way more than it should have. Before I know it, he's already inside my room. I'm powerless to stop him before he scoops up the letter, strangely ignoring the tower of bills surrounding it. Don't just read mail that isn't your own. Come on, what is it? A love letter from your girlfriend? Did she include any photos? Sexy photos? Reclining against the dresser and paying no mind to the bottles he sends all over the floor by doing so, Kenji quietly reads through Owanako's letter. The process takes seemingly forever, and with how close he holds it up to his face, makes it look like he's trying to eat it. Who's Owanako? Ex-girlfriend, I suppose, in the most technical of senses. Ex-girlfriend, huh? This is the breakup letter, then. I thought they were a myth. No, I guess it is, but really, she's been my ex-girlfriend for a while. Anyway, I think I'm already over it. Kenji gives a thumbs up, clearly relieved that I'm not going to take this into an awkward direction. Although I almost want to, since I told him not to read it. That's a good attitude. That's alright. I had a bad breakup too. But you can't let it get you down. I mean, just look at me. I am every neurosis ever conceived by man all at once. But hey, she wrote you a letter. Maybe she wants to get back together, huh? It says right here, write her back. You should do it. Is she cute? For a guy who thinks feminists are working to enslave men everywhere, he really is interested in cute girls. Yeah, that's one of the many reasons why I'm confused, baffled, and don't really care for Kenji much. I have a girlfriend. Besides, look at the context. She doesn't want me to write back. Just because that's what it says, this isn't what she means. But that's what she wrote. This rockfish kid chick totally still want... Rockfish kid chick? What? It even says it right there. I read it. I know what it says. I told you. You have to look at the context. She said I drifted away from her, and everything there shows she accepted that. I think the reason she wrote to me is just she wants to, is that she just wants to. I guess part amicably, but we're done. She doesn't want to get back together or whatever you're thinking. As I think about it more, it sounds to me like I'm just trying to make excuses for myself. That's not a good place to be. I'm positive that she doesn't want me to write her back. I can live with that. If I were to write her back and get a less than desirable response or no response, then I would just be crushed. Perhaps the fear of that is why I'm trying to justify my decision. It could be, but I don't want to think about it. The thought is oddly repulsive. Why is this such a big deal to you anyway? Because you should write back to her. She wants you to. I want to see what that response is going to be. Damn, it doesn't even have to be a nice letter. That's cool too, but you could write an angry letter and call her out. That's my new attack strategy. I'm just gonna call women out. You should try it. I will not be doing that, no. Even if she wrote me a letter, you have to understand what that means. Writing someone a letter is different now. It's not something you just do, not in this kind of situation. You can pick up your phone and call someone across the world in an instant and talk to them almost like they were there with you. Or send them an email. They'll be notified instantly that they got it and can reply back just like that. A letter can be a personal thing, but she wants to keep me at an arm's distance. It's not like I can pop over there and visit her. If I had her numbered, I could call her. If I had her mail, I could mail her. If she really wants to hear back from me, she would have dropped one of those in there. I feel silly for continuously reassuring myself that I'm not fazed by Iwanako writing to me when it's so obvious that I am. It could be like a gradual thing for her. She might be too shy to call you up. I remember my girlfriend would always send me text messages because she was so shy. It was annoying as hell, man. I didn't really give a crap about phones, so I didn't have the thing, and it turns out I had to pay for every single one. But I don't like phones, so I couldn't even call her back to tell her to cut that out. I did it anyway, though. I called her out. I even used a phone. It was literally the call out. I guess it was. Even if he's right, it means that Iwanako still wants to keep her distance from me. She's not ready to chat with me comfortably. Why? Am I some kind of freak? I'm not reassured by her actions anyway in that case. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but I just don't know. Kenji can't think of anything to say to that, and the silence that follows is so awkward and thick that I start to count the seconds until he makes up a reason to leave and excuses himself. I miss her. Your ex? Yeah, even if she was insane, it was nice being with her. My back hurts. If she were still around, I could tell her to massage it. I don't know how to use an oven either. I miss baked food. We would go bowling in the hallway sometimes. I miss that too. I had to bowl all by myself during that last festival. You bowl in the hallway? You're gonna hit somebody. She used to say that all the time. Kenji sighs nostalgically. Who would ever date this guy? Clearly not appreciating just how badly someone can get hurt by slipping on a bowling pin. Apparently neither did his girlfriend since she bowled with him. What a strange definition of love. But I guess it's something. Maybe you should write her a letter. If she writes back, you can get married. Married? No. No. Okay, fine, but why not? You clearly like her, even though you hate women. Feminists, not women. Feminists, there's a difference. This conversation has been going on much longer than I feel like any Kenji conversation has gone up to this point. There are non-feminist women. Damn, your discrimination is incredible. Correlation does not equal causation. Even if she is insane and a woman, it doesn't mean she is a feminist, insane woman. It's like how the absence of evidence isn't the evidence of absence. If it's true, then by the relative property, the presence of evidence doesn't equal the evidence of presence. Actually, I think it is, and I don't think it's called the relative property. No, shut up, it's mathematics. Are you saying math is wrong? No, but I'm saying math is stupid. I think he's wrong. So even Kenji has someone that he likes. I'm tempted to ask why he and his ex broke up, or to dig for more information in general, but I couldn't. Not only would it be prying, but he might reverse the question back to me. This conversation makes me think about Shizune, although the thoughts I'm having are scattered and wispy, just questions. I wonder if I ever had the chance to love, if I even had the chance to love Iwanako, and this whole situation with her still stings me, a sour note in the back of my mind. I like Shizune much more, yet it feels like I'm chasing her. Even now, I don't mind the chase, but I want to close that distance between us. Iwanako's letter is responsible, but I've also felt this way for a while. I've come closer, but it's not enough. I want to try again, right now. I tell Kenji to go out so I can change, and then head for the student council room. The grounds are mostly deserted today, which is a shame because it's so nice out. No one answers when I knock. I try to go in anyway, but it's locked. When I pull my hand away from the doorknob, it's covered in dust. Looks like no one's been here since we left. Since I'm already out here and dressed, I might as well go get something to eat in town. My wallet is back in my room, though. Misha? On the way back there, I stumble across Misha sitting down behind the main building. Her eyes are closed in sleep, and she looks very tranquil. She looks more like she's in pain. It's always been hard to picture her not constantly bouncing around or hopping on the tips of her toes impatiently. My first instinct is to call out to her and ask if she's seen Shizune or if she wants to go into town with me, but now that I've seen her, I don't feel like disturbing her. I leave her alone. That is odd. I'm gonna be honest with you, this story has felt odd. Well, let's keep going. For the first few days after I was back, I almost forgot that I was in the student council. I managed to pick up here and there that the student council usually gets swamped with work around the end of the break, but it didn't have to be the case. The few times when I managed to catch Shizune or Misha, they were in too much of a hurry for me to get a chance to ask if they needed help. Anytime they weren't, I'd only be able to get a hold of Misha. Shizune would say something about how there was work, but it was so little that involving either Misha or I would only bore us. After a while, the idea of having some free time again had started to grow on me, though there were still periods when I felt like I had too much of it. Just when I was getting used to this, though, things changed again. Now I find myself back in the student council room, arguing with Shizune about whether tissue boxes make good ballot boxes or not. I'm telling you, it will work just fine as long as we get the cube-shaped ones, not the rectangular ones. Misha, can you sign that there? I got my hands full. On second thought, forget it. She's busy cutting out ballot slips, so if she were to make one errant movement, she would probably send those scissors flying into someone's head. Ow. I drop the box of poster paints I'm carrying onto my little table at the student council room and cough. A wave of dust hits me in the face. It really has been a while. Do you think we should change the size of the ballot slips? What? But Chichan already cuts out so many of them. We can make them smaller. It'll be more efficient. We just have to shrink the font. More ballots will fit in a single box that way. We'll need half the amount of paper then. The format for voting can be changed. It could be more like a real election. Then we might be able to get away with buying less boxes. With the money left over, we can get a pizza, or maybe Chinese, or a cake, or 3 bowls of the new ramen bowl I want to try. Shizune excitedly rubs a finger along the frame of her glasses as she ponders more ways to cut even a half yen off spending off of our budget. Since I think she's the only one who even knows what our budget is, I'm scared to ask just how tiny it is for her to have to do this. What's all this about ballot slips Misha already cut out? Don't worry. I can make them into memo pads and sell them in the school store. Chichan, they don't look very cute though. Shizune seems to disagree. Now they're arguing, but it looks like it consists mostly nothing more than signing yes they do and no they don't at each other until they're so tired of it that they're just taking turns pointing at each other commandingly. It's strange, partly because it looks kind of ridiculous, but also because I've never seen them disagree. Then again, both of them have looked very stressed these past few days. Shizune has been increasingly absorbed in the idea of student council elections, though they're months away. Imagine this is how politicians act when they realize a regime change is imminent and their era is over. I'm having trouble taking student council matters seriously at all, even now, as I practice my calligraphy skills on signs that won't go for weeks, but I can understand why Shizune does. After all, she has been student council president for 3 years. According to her dad, she's wanted the job for even longer. I guess 3 years is too short a career for her to leave feeling satisfied. Did the last student council go through this much trouble to make it a smooth transition for you? Shizune makes a charged face that tells me they weren't very helpful at all. I guess you're doing all this to set a good example then? That only comes to play if they learn anything from it, Hichan. If they don't, I'll be hyper mad. If they turn out to be the flaky type, I'll definitely be hard on them. Doesn't sound very threatening when Misha is saying it. So, you've already met them? Ah ha ha! Hichan, there are no candidates yet! I could kind of tell because we haven't had an election yet. What? None? Not even for student council president. That's why I'm trying to drum up interest for the position. What do you think? She proudly holds up a poster she's been working on herself that looks very, military. Might be taking this a little too seriously then. Shizune frowns and plays with her glasses offended. Is that weird? Yes, a little. She looks oddly happy that I'm disagreeing with her, and I think that if she weren't genuinely focused on what she was doing, she would try to argue with me just because it would be more interesting to her. What's weird about it? It looks like she will do that after all, but then Shizune waves her hand dismissively like she's trying to catch the words in the air and delete them. Instead, she catapults into insulting her future successors. Well, one thing that's weird is that in my old school, the elections would happen in about 6 months, since, we're graduating in March. It's pretty weird to think about them so early. It's a little different here. Hichan, I'll be discouraged if we don't have any replacements when I have to go, Shichan says. But it isn't like the school will stop running without a student council. It'll be harder for them to hand out forms, though. Ha ha ha! Shizune isn't laughing, however. Misha's joke causes her to flinch as if she were stung. Though Misha didn't mean for it to come out that way, her quip had a callous cruelty to it at the end. I'm trying to get more people to run, but everyone is so lazy. They think they can just take it easy because there are no deadlines yet. Slackers not taking the early game advantage. Still 6 months away? If they aren't making their move now, they don't deserve a vote. They really think it's such an easy job that they can do everything at the last minute and just coast into the role? Insulting! Really? They're going to be eaten alive once they have to sit at this tiny desk and see just how much work they have to do. If this were a real election, they would be in deep trouble. I was reading about Japanese campaigning laws the other day. Only the bad ones for some reason. For a second, Shizune was talking like her father there, and it was coming out of Misha's mouth. Creepy. Well, first off, Shadow Shogun, you can't really make that call. They'll be elected. Second, it's just a school election. It's not like running for city council or the Diet. I don't think Japanese campaigning laws apply. Third, although I don't want to say it, I'm nervous that Shizune is so enthusiastic about this, talking of elections and votes. According to her dad, she wasn't even elected herself. Come to think of it, I can't remember Shizune ever saying she was elected either. Then, did she get the position by being recruited into the student council and having it fall apart until she was the only one left? Somehow I never considered it. I don't know what to think about that, but it wouldn't surprise me. We're only 3 people strong now. If the circumstances behind her becoming the student council president were that sad, I wonder if there will be a vote at all. Interest could just be that low, or non-existent, really. Then all the energy would be going towards nothing. I slap an exclamation mark on the end of the poster I'm working on. It's a little plain, so I'm thinking of adding one is okay. Actually, it still might be a little too plain. I make the mark twice as large. I still didn't say you need to slow down. If this stuff isn't going to be relevant for months, maybe you're working a little too hard on it. That's what I think. You're worrying too much. I don't know how to sign the word relevant. I try and only end up flicking a long line of paint where I didn't intend to. There's no way I can fix that. Misha, can you ask her that? Shizune giggles silently, clenching her teeth so that no sound actually comes out. Because there's a lot to worry about. Like what? Like, usually the boxes end up looking very pretty, so people take them. Have to plan for that. We should make them funny looking this time. So no one will take them. How about that, Shi-chan? We can draw some weird faces on them, or we can put little pictures of Shizune on each one saying, stealing is wrong. No, it's not funny. It's not the only problem either. There's voter turnout, of course. And then the worst case scenario would be not having any candidates. Although it seems she meant it jokingly from the way she smiles as she signs it, that isn't how it comes out. Even Misha understands the possibility is very real, and though she tries to salvage the mood by punctuating Shizune's statement with a laugh, it doesn't quite work. What's wrong with both of you? If I was making a joke, that's actually, there actually is some interest this year. If there wasn't, would I be doing all this work? I'm not stupid. With the elections are over, I'll buy everyone dinner. I'm already planning it. Even the new student council? No, they can buy their own celebration dinner. It'll only be for the current student council. I'll be happy once, though, I'm having to do these thankless jobs. Yeah, I'm through having to do all these thankless jobs all the time. A dinner just for us? Yay! It's a little party, Shi-chan. Though her cheerfulness is obviously forced, I say nothing. For the rest of the period, which fortunately isn't very long, we work in silence. After class, I find the student council room locked. It's strange because Shizune was so busy earlier that I would expected her to continue working after school. It'd be what she would normally do. Maybe she listened to my suggestion and decided to take a break. I'm hoping it's that simple. Feeling a little uneasy, I take a brief stroll around the school. It's only half conscious. I can't remember when I started moving my feet, but I've already covered enough of the campus that I'm starting to feel tired. Not that that means anything now. Just a short stroll around the school grounds and I'm already winded. Really pathetic. Before I know it, I'm back in front of the student council office. There's someone else too this time. Hi, Hi-chan. Hi, Misha. It's locked. Seeing a can of lemonade in her hand, I reflexively start looking for a vending machine nearby. I'm so thirsty. I know that, Hi-chan. Shi-chan is somewhere else, I guess. Weird. Ha ha ha. We aren't stuck together, Hi-chan. Misha takes a long drink from her lemonade, eventually just tipping it over and pouring the rest into her mouth. I feel like I'm being mocked. Do you want one, Hi-chan? No, it's okay. I can't take someone else's drink. It's rude. Besides, you're making fun of me, aren't you? I just saw you inhale all of that. I have another one in my bag. I was prepared. See? I'm just like Shi-chan. She's a little too prepared. It's good some of that is rubbing off on you anyway. After what, 2 years? Ha ha ha! The way she stares at me as I drink, it is a little disconcerting, but I'm too grateful to care much about it. You and Shizune always end up treating me to something. It's starting to embarrass me. Really, Hi-chan? Buy me lunch sometime then, okay? Then we'll be even. Oh, it's funny you should say that. I was gonna ask if you wanted to eat in town. Yeah, I'm really hungry today, Hi-chan. Thanks. I was going to ask her yesterday. Misha cuts me off before I can finish the sentence, and I can't find an opening to correct her as she dashes enthusiastically around me, laughing, her arms flapping excitedly at her sides. The way a Misha do. I already had my wallet with me, so I started walking towards the town with Misha trailing behind me, playing idly with her hands and loudly wondering to herself where we should go eat. At least I think so. She could be asking me. Do you have anywhere specific where you'd like to go? I want to go to that tea house. They have a really big parfait there. I saw you eat a parfait there last time. It looked really big. No, no, no. This one is really, really big. It's also really expensive. Really, really expensive? Nah, a little. Jeez. Well, you and Shizune paid for my food a bunch of times, so it's fine. Hee-chan, I don't think I ever did that. Are you sure it wasn't just Chi-chan? Are you really arguing against a free meal? Don't worry about it. Misha's got a good head on his shoulders. It's like, well, actually, I don't think I ever did that at all, so I don't know if you owe me anything. We go to Shanghai and are seated by a waitress who is surprisingly not Yuko. Misha's very eager to eat that parfait because she shouts at her order as soon as she walks through the door. When it arrives, you can see that it is both very big and very expensive looking. Very equivalent to a banana kaboom. Aren't you gonna order anything, Ichan? If you're hungry, we can share. Nah, I don't like parfaits. I don't like pralin? All right, well, that's an ingredient of some nature. All right, let's find out what a pralin is, everybody. Pralin. What's a pralin? Pralin is a form of confection containing, at minimum, culinary nuts, usually almonds, pecans, and hazelnuts, and sugar. Cream is a common third ingredient. Well, it doesn't give me how to pronounce it, but I know what it is now. You can pick it out. You can't pick out pralin. Don't be silly. Even if I could, Misha's mashing her food together to the point where it's no longer possible. It also looks kind of gross. I wonder if that many flavors can blend together well. Can she really taste anything in that goop? She's acting like it's delicious anyway. So really, what difference does it make to us? Parfaits are the best. I have sensitive teeth, so ice cream is a no-no. Cake is too soft, though, and if there's too much icing, I get bored. Parfait is interesting. How many cafes have parfaits in here? I think 10? I've tried them all. I like this one the best. It has a little flan. You sound like you're some kind of dessert expert. Not just dessert. I want to eat all kinds of delicious things. Someday I'll have enough money to buy a 2-kilogram Matsusaka beefsteak. Gotta have that meat life, yo. That's like over 100,000 yen. I guess that's kind of a decadent food is kind of your hobby then, huh? A hobby isn't something that should take months to learn about someone. I've been very rude in retrospect. Also, that is one pricey hobby. I guess so. Decadent? Yeah. Misha giggles, raises her hand to her face. It looks like some ice cream accidentally got on her nose. She doesn't notice it. I can't stop noticing it. I wish she would wipe it off. I'm about to tell her about it, but she suddenly says, I don't know what that means. Oh, I guess that's a bad word anyway. It has implications. An entirely new word that I don't know the meaning of whatsoever is apparently considered a much better one. Good Lord, game. This path, this story has been going absolutely crazy here. Okay, I can only maybe assume it's Epicurean or something to that nature. It's hard to say. Either way. Epicurean. No. Epicurean. A disciple or student of the Greek philosopher Epicurus. Wow, all right. It means someone who enjoys eating nice food. That's the adjective, though, so epicure is the word for it. Wah ha ha! Hee-chan, you're too wordy. Yes, he is. Sorry. Ha, I think that's what Shi-chan likes about you. Because I'm wordy? I need to buy some thesauruses then. No, not like that, Hee-chan. I decided to order some coffee after all, but it takes a while to get the waitress to notice, and I think actually getting my coffee will take about as long. The tea shop is filling up. No surprise, as we've been here for almost an hour while she was chipping out the dessert. I ordered my coffee to go, but Misha orders one as well, so it seems that we're going to be here longer than I thought. I really wish it was that easy. It's hard to talk to her lately. Shi-chan's been busy because of the elections. I know we can't have fun all the time. It's just that there's a lot I want to say to her, I think. I always screw up when the time comes, though, and I don't even have the time now because of the election. They're not for a while, though. Hee-chan, do you think that Shi-chan is avoiding you? Misha sounds angry. That's to be expected, but I don't feel that way at all. No. Is that so? The dreamy way in which she says it makes me think that Misha is disappointed with my answer. In that case, it could be how she feels. I'm uneasy asking such a question, but I trust Misha would answer it honestly. Otherwise, I wouldn't even dream of it. Do you? No, of course not, Hee-chan, but it's frustrating sometimes. Shi-chan has so much energy and is always trying to make people feel as excited about things as she is. But it's like Shi-chan doesn't know how to handle things when when everyone gets really hyped up. Or I think she wants to make sure nothing goes wrong. When I want to help out, Shi-chan always pushes me away. It's frustrating. I'm just overthinking it, probably, right? Misha takes a big gulp from her coffee, then sticks her tongue out. Ow! I thought it would have been cool by now. Has it really been that long? I checked my watch. It hasn't been very long at all, but looking outside, the sun is already starting to set. Not really. Huh, got dark out pretty quickly today, though I could understand why you might think that. At my words, Misha looks outside and yawns almost immediately. She looks sleepy. That's funny because... Are you sleepy? You were wide awake like just 2 seconds ago. I feel tired when it gets dark, Hee-chan. What are you, a canary? Just like that, are you a bird? I pick up my coffee and have a sip. It's not very hot at all, but very tasty. I down it. Sure, why not? That's the most unrealistic thing in this game so far. It's possible because now I want to get back to the dorm room as well. Misha tries to emulate me, but it's still too hot for her. While I wait for her to finish, I start to wonder what she meant back then about Shizune liking something about me. I mean, I would kind of hoped so. She agreed to be your girlfriend. Suddenly, I'm very curious, but dragging that back up now feels like an unnecessary action. I try to weigh the option again, but I'm interrupted by Misha slamming her empty cardboard cup down on the table with a loud pop. Done! She lets out a short laugh, seemingly very pleased with herself, kind of like a toddler. I wonder if she had that drill-shaped haircut when she was little, too. Or was it something more like her current look? Yeah, it would make more sense. I guess we should head back, then. I can't see the waitress. Try not to fall asleep while I pay for the sundae, okay? Not a sundae! It's a parfait, Hee-chan! Wah-ha-ha! You have ice cream on your nose. Get riggedy wrecked on, son! Misha has been vanquished this day. But we all appreciate her regardless. She's a good girl. In class the next afternoon, I'm 2 problems into a math logic worksheet when a folded up piece of paper hits me in the head. I'm sure I know who it's from, but I'm quickly look around the classroom anyway, just in case. It be thee, it's she. No one in the classroom is good at acting casual. I could tell that everyone saw who threw it at me and looked at the culprit herself. It was obviously Shizune. She isn't even trying to be coy about it. The countryside is so different. At my old school, I would have had no idea who it was right now. Opening up the note, it says, Misha is absent. Help me out today after school. I don't understand what's with the note. Why couldn't you just use sign language? A large part of how I learned sign language is by copying Misha's style of signing her words as she speaks, so I end up blurting the sentence out loud as I sign it to Shizune. A slight laugh goes around the room. How awkward. I'll help if I don't have to do a lot. That's silly. Obviously, if Misha is absent, you have to do as much help as 2 people. I don't know if that really means anything. After all, Misha was complaining yesterday mostly about how Shizune wouldn't let her help her. I don't do much as is either. After pretending to think it over for a bit, I write her a note back telling her I will. I'm actually happy that she asked me because I've been meaning to talk to her for a while. It's a good opportunity, but I feel I should at least make it look like I'm putting up some resistance to the idea. I go back to my worksheet and immediately get back on the 3rd problem. After trying to work it around, I casually toss my own note over to Shizune. It says, why is Misha absent? And what's the answer to question 3? She told me that she was sick and her stomach hurt. Aw, Misha gets stomach aches a lot, but I wish she'd picked a better time for it this week. Hopefully it wasn't because of the parfait I gave her. Use sign language. I'd think she has a stomach ache because of the way she sucked down a parfait larger than her head the other day. She gets them quite often, though. Either it's a coincidence or she has the habit of eating things that could put her in deliberating pain. I notice the teacher staring at us disapprovingly. I don't blame him. We're talking in class and with sign language in quite a visible and distracting way. I try clearing my throat to the back of our conversation, but Shizune doesn't get the hint. Well, obviously, before I try to get the message across again with my hands, however, I can see Shizune noticing what's up. She just doesn't care. Do you still want to know the answer to question 3? I'll tell you, but you have to give me the answer for question 25. Hey, I was just thinking about how a teacher who didn't know sign language could think we were abusing it and using it to cheat. And if we were to assume the worst, I can't believe you're actually doing that. And I'm not up to 25. You want to know what the answer to 3 was? You asked first, hypocrite. You're the student council president. You can't cheat. I don't have time for this. And I think I'm trying the teacher's patience to the breaking point. I'd like to continue taking pot shots at her while working on the math problems in front of me, but it would require at least 2 extra hands. Shizune is a bit more creative and gets around this limitation by using long, semi-broken strings of simpler words. I take a couple mental notes in between being dizzied by a couple of particularly long equations. Right before the bell rings, she caps her pen and triumphantly slams it on her desk with an ear-popping crack that makes the whole room jump. Quickly forgotten because everyone would rather go to lunch than question its origin. After a couple of brief stretches, she gets up and hovers around my left shoulder. Are you still not done? I was going to ask if you wanted me to hand in yours too while I was up. Someone distracted me. I had to beg the teacher to give me 9 minutes between now and the end of passing to finish it. It's not easy to solve this one-handed while having a conversation, by the way. He wasn't happy with the request, wanting to get out of here as much as I do. Since I'm only one problem away from finishing, it looks like Shizune doesn't really believe me. The second that I'm done handing it in, I find myself being dragged to the student council room. Yay. It's eerily and annoyingly clean. I can't find what I was working on yesterday. Where is everything? I did some cleaning. That doesn't tell me anything. See, it's like you forgot where you even put the stuff you put away. Yeah, well, if I can't find it, I guess I'll just go home. It's in the drawer right there. Shizune sulks as I pull out the posters I was working on and then shuffle them around a little. Since she stacked them by color, it's not that I'm taunting her, I just have my own system. Although I doubt she would believe me if I were to tell her. Yeah, odds of that are pretty good, I imagine. I like it when things are a little messy. It's more natural and a time saver. It's all right where I left it, and I don't have to go looking through shelves just to find what I was working on yesterday. It would have been nice to know a little bit ahead of time, but I ain't gonna hate on her for it. Lazy. That's not true. I'm not lazy. You just always go too far. I quickly glanced at her desk, a memo pad neatly placed at one corner. Behind it, a small desk calendar with each box filled with notes and a neat but microscopic handwriting. On the right, 3 boxes of pens in blue, black, and red. Look, you even put the pens back in the original box at the end of each day, all color-coded and everything. I don't even think that can be called being a neat freak. What do you do with them? Throw them in a mug on your desk? Hey, I think that's being organized enough. You're so disorganized, you can't even comb your hair down properly. Well, that hurts. It's not like I don't try, it just won't stay flat. I pick up a box of pens and quickly pop it open to see if she also puts them in so that they're all facing the same direction. She understands what I'm thinking and doesn't look very amused. It turns out that the box wasn't closed properly on the bottom, and as soon as I pick it up, they immediately pour out of it like a waterfall. My fault. I'll get them. Don't worry. Ah! I bend down to pick up the pens, forgetting that with her attention focused on them, she couldn't have possibly seen me signing to her. Shizune's head bumps into my chest. Not very hard, but it unbalances me enough to make me fall over. I laugh it off and expect her to do the same. When she stiffens and backs away from me instead, a feeling of dread begins to creep over me. That's a weird reaction. I start to think about why she would have such a strange reaction. It's pretty obvious. She just bumped headfirst into someone with a heart condition. Shizune would know I have one, having seen the rows and rows of pills lining the edge of my dresser. Or at the very least, she would know I have something severe enough to require that much medication, but not visible at a glance. So she's treating me like I'm made of glass. For her, it's the natural way to react. I haven't forgotten how she freaked out back when Emmy knocked into me. Why would it be any different for me? I'm sure she's remembering that right now. I can see it on her face. She looks angry at herself. It'd be a good opportunity to bring up that time, even though I don't want to drag that back up. It'd be a good idea to. It would clear the air. Still, I'm afraid I'd end up saying nothing. Partly because I imagine having to draw her attention from the floor and then having to sign what kind of cripple I am to her in one gesture at a time. Jeez, the idea begins to seem more and more depressing. Taking a seat, I decided to just try and finish up these posters to get my mind off of it. There are some that I don't remember making, from the wall-to-wall text and ultra-neat handwriting. I can tell Shizune must have done these. That means that the remainder must have been done by Misha. They're a lot more visual, with cute little stylized pictures of us on them. It's adorable as heck. I don't know how I feel about being used as a mascot character, but I'm not really thrilled about it. But it's cute, though. Some time passes, long enough for the sun to start setting. I hear Shizune putting down her pen and cracking her knuckles methodically one at a time. It's so loud in the silence of the room that I look up, wondering if she's trying to get my attention. Although it wasn't what she intended, when she noticed me and looking at her, Shizune begins to sign without skipping a beat. Let's take a break. I'm surprised you would say that. It's okay, I'm almost done anyway. And I'm hungry, aren't you? A little. I'm really hungry. We could order something. I was thinking of you. I already have something to eat. Where? She produces a cinnamon bun from under a desk, raising it to head level slowly like a magician levitating a rock. Dear God, she has confectionaries! But there is only one. Not enough for both of us. Ah, how dramatic. I can tell what this means. A feeling of deja vu briefly washes over me. We could just split it. That's no fun! So boring! Let's play shogi for it! She already has the board out. The desk must have everything in it. Not chess. Chess has boring promotions. This is better. I don't know about that. Well, I'm actually pretty decent at shogi, so this is fine. Is that so? Okay, we can make it a little more interesting then. Each move has to be completed in 30 seconds. You can add a rule too. No thanks. Anything I could add would only hurt me more than it would help. The 30-second time limit is already too tight for me. You're making me regret thinking it was all right to brag a little. Never brag around Shizune. She'll take it as a challenge. After Suzune wins the right to go first in a quick coin toss, she immediately starts playing with the aim of promoting all of her pieces as soon as possible. It seems like a very basic playstyle, and I can't help thinking it might be a trap of some sort. It's not, though. The draw of this game to Shizune appears to be the fact that she can upgrade her pieces and steal mine. She's very good at it, but it makes her predictable. I end up doing a little better than I expected to. The 30-second time limit is pretty painful, though. The game ends in a draw. At this point, I think you're supposed to either go for a rematch or tally the pieces for points. Shizune doesn't seem to want to go in, again, in the interest of time, but winning on points clearly doesn't satisfy her. She sits there, shifting a silver general. Shifting a silver general. Oh, right. From one edge to the other as she contemplates which of those two options she'll go for. It takes so long that I think she'd forgotten about the bet. Eventually, she stops fiddling with the shogi piece and puts it down. Is Misha angry at me? Well, that came out of nowhere. Shizune's frankness is disorienting, because with her, any kind of candor is a sign of total seriousness. There's no playful smile on her face. Instead, it's her usual stoic mask of concentration, ready to try and see if I'm about to tell her the truth. I'm upset that she thinks I would tell her anything else, but I also know now that they have probably fought recently, out of my sight, and it makes me feel warm to know that they both care about each other so much. No, I strongly doubt it. Did you know that she thinks you're angry at her? Shizune nods slowly and uncomfortably. Yes. She was more roundabout with the questions than you. Kind of surprising because I thought you were the one who liked playing games. Not all the time. Are you two having some kind of fight? No. She's very quick to deny it and not happy with the thought. I feel like I've stepped on a landmine. Sorry. Actually, yes. Just a tiny one. I know that she has no interest in the student council. She only joined because of me. I'm still grateful. I'm so happy she's my friend, but I don't understand what she is upset about this time. Why don't you just ask her? Yeah, with considering Misha's weird, somber nap I saw not that long ago, clearly something is up with her. She won't tell me. I'll figure it out by myself instead. I was sure that I was very perceptive, even if I can't hear. That was dumb. I know better now. It is probably something that is my fault. Shizune doesn't elaborate further on what it could have been. I'm sure that it is because she does not fully understand the situation herself. It's odd to think that Shizune, usually so sure of everything, could be scared by a little argument with a friend. But the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. They're a lot closer to each other than normal friends, and Shizune is pretty isolated from other people in a way. The fact that she's deaf is no small part of it. But I get the feeling that she uses Misha as a buffer between other people of her own will, not just because it's been forced onto her. She can communicate well enough with a little pad. Excuse me. With a little pad, she just hates it. After such a long time of talking through another person, I guess you start to lose touch. Seems unavoidable. It isn't such a far-out idea to think that she isn't that great with people. I return to working, kind of wanting to eat that cinnamon bun more as time drags on, but when I count the shogi pieces still left out on Shizune's table, I can tell at a glance she would win. I'm also too hungry to concentrate if we were to have a rematch. Motivated by my desire to wrap up and eat something, I put the finishing touches on the last of the posters. Done. I think this money is enough. Too many can be a bad thing. Okay. That's it? Just okay? I'll probably do some myself after I'm done picking what voting format to go with. Too many posters is bad too. Haven't you ever heard of oversaturation? I really think you're trying too hard. Tenting her fingers, Shizune looks like she could almost admit it. Maybe. That's what Misha thinks too. I watch her fingers continuously uneasily twinning around and pulling at each other in a miniature tug-of-war. I don't mind, but I asked around at a couple classes today and interest is low. It's like you said, so... Does that make it wrong? No, but it does make it kind of pointless. It's not! Yeah, but to who? I doubt even Shizune truly believes that. I'm not doing all this work just for my own ego. That isn't what I mean. The first chance to be alone with her in days, and I already have her already cocked it up. Still, she doesn't actually look angry. It's more like she's frustrated, that she can't express herself clearly enough. Since she's an expert in sign language, I wouldn't think that would be the case. What advantage being able to speak would offer her, and even if she has ever thought about it? It's another project of mine, just like the festivals. I'm gonna do it because it's my job. It's just that a student council election isn't as fun as a festival, so no one cares. She briefly touches her fingertips together as if to say, but maybe. There's some truth to it, but Shizune doesn't want to say anything that could be boiled down into something so glib. But I don't care. I want to get people riled up, but it isn't about me. I don't want to be involved at all. What do you mean? You go to like every single festival. Shizune waves her hand in mock indignation. Well, I have to have fun too, but you know, it's not the same thing. Her spirits seem to have improved if she can manage to crack a joke. I don't want anyone to make a point of me being involved. It's a hassle. I don't want that responsibility. Things are becoming too complicated now as is. The more I try to hype up the elections, the more involved they have to be. No one wants to play their hand yet, and it doesn't feel like my time is over, even though it should. Crossing her arms and leaning back, she grinds her teeth together in frustration. You don't want to do that. You'll have to start wearing a mouth guard when you sleep. They're all so lazy. It's impossible to get them to do anything. Anywhere else, the elections would be an exciting event. It's illogical. Why does everyone have to be so different? If there was only some way to punish them. Like cleaning the school, like chaining the school to their desks. Voting is mandatory. If you don't vote, you get whipped. Terrifying. I wonder how hypocritical it would be if I were to stay in bed on election day with the flu, and a cold, and strep throat, and a sprained ankle. You should put yourself on one of these. Not as punishment, don't misunderstand. I hold up one of Misha's posters. Like this. It's just kind of a neat idea. Misha was onto something. It's a lot cuter than just text. I think you'd like it. Having cute mascots would drum up some excitement. Maybe if it's just Misha. Why not me? Someone told me that this school has slightly more girls than boys. Someone. You have to cater to that demographic too. Shizune giggles audibly this time. I'm surprised, and when she sees my face, so is she. Her face flushes pink, embarrassed to have let out a sound, which is really confusing to say the least. Why don't you put yourself on it? She just waves my question away. It's troublesome. What do you mean troublesome? Everyone knows that you're the student council. My stomach growls, making me realize that I'm hungrier than I thought. Shizune uses the moment to deflect my question by changing the subject. Is something wrong? No, my stomach growled. I see. She looks at the forgotten pastry on her desk, then frowns, finding it inadequate for two people. Let's go to the Shanghai. If you're that hungry, I might be a little busy this late, but Yuko's working there today. We'll definitely get a table. There's something worryingly underhanded in that smile. I'll pass. I've already been there twice this week, back to back. Shizune pouts, leaning back against her desk and scrunching up her posture in the protest. What? Or what? I'm disappointed you said no. Well, I can't agree with you on everything. You don't give your opinion often enough anyway. It would be easiest for me if it was like that, but not very interesting, right? There are some decisions you should disagree with me on, then. You have a duty, too. How am I supposed to know which is which? It's easy. No, it's not. Sometimes it's hard for me to tell whether you're joking or serious. Although, since she communicates entirely in sign language, that would seem pretty obvious. I wouldn't say that's all there is to it, though. I remember when I had my heart attack. Awanako wouldn't stop talking at first. Eventually, I wished that she would just shut up, or I would have if I hadn't been happy to have any kind of company at all. Gradually, I stopped being so grateful. When we talked, it felt like it was nothing more than ritualized exchanges of politeness. Awanako tried extremely hard to obfuscate how she felt, which was that I was hopeless. In the end, her outer behavior matched her inner feelings. For that reason, I was able to accept it when one day she stopped showing up. I was no longer surprised by the time it happened, even though she considered herself a master at hiding her feelings, and I was not surprised. I've heard that games like shogi and chess can tell you a lot about a person. I wish I knew what Shizune thought that they said about me. It could be that I'm a little more like Awanako than I'd like to think. If I can only tie with Shizune by retreating, I suggest that we should order out. I sure hope these two can make up and, be the good pals that I know they are.